Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pop Culture Spread, our fun weekly movie and streaming news show. Let's talk big news. Doesn't get any better than this, Jace. Ralph Ineson to play Galactus in the Fantastic Four. Wow, this is huge, Jace. Huge.
Yeah, yes, not only in news size, but in physical size. Galactus is rather big. He eats planets, Rick. He eats planets. Yeah, look, this is great casting. There's two things about this news. It's we've got a fantastic character actor who will bring that kind of gravitas to Galactus. And secondly, the movie's got Galactus. We can now confirm that, and we didn't have any confirmation that Galactus was even going to be part of a storyline in this. So they're going cosmic with their first outing here, Rick, by bringing in Galactus. So it's all the pieces are kind of together now, aren't they? Because you've got the female Silver Surfer, you've got Galactus. I don't know who Paul Hauser's playing again, that Paul Walter Hauser.
No, I know.
We're thinking Mole Man. We're thinking Mole Man. But yeah, necessarily this is huge news because it's it reveals a bit about what's happening in the movie now. So
very excited about this. And Ralph's a fantastic voice actor as well. He's done a lot of voice acting in a lot of games and so forth as well. And like you said, a good theatrical actor as well. So this is perfect casting. I'm really super excited. I want to see what Galactus looks like, how they're going to present him, because in previous movies it had like a blob, but it was kind of like wasn't really great.
I know you're in safe hands, man. Like every bit of artwork they've released for Fantastic Four says, nope, it is comic book accurate. So
100%.
I would expect that image of Galactus that we have above us would be pretty close to what we're going to get.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not the only casting too. John Malkovich, the quirky John Malkovich, apparently has been cast as well in another unknown role. So you've got him and that Paul Walter Hauser with the unknown roles, but they've announced who's playing everyone else. So look, this movie shapes up to be something that has the potential to really refresh the MCU. So
100%. And how does Marvel just get the casting right, though? I mean, they're getting some big name actors here.
It's always been unquestionable, hasn't it? Like they're casting from the moment they got Robert Downey Jr. to all the way to this announcement. I don't think they've ever done any bad casting.
Do you think anyone just knocks them back? Like, do you think they just ring John Malkovich and go, mate, it's Kevin Feige here. We're looking at, you're done. I mean, I
don't think anyone turns them down. I'd be shocked. Maybe there's an occasional actor, but most people go, yeah, definitely. Why wouldn't you? It's good for your career. You get more opportunities for other films that you really want to do if you join the MCU. So, that's great casting. Really fantastic stuff. And it's huge news because we've got a big bad villain now. We know who it is.
You know who it is. Looking forward to see some footage. All right, Jace. What's in other news? Speaking of big bad baddies, Bob Iger, the former CEO and returning of Disney, has scaled Marvel Studios projects back to 3 movies and 2 shows a year. Is this this is what everyone has been waiting for? This is what you have brought out on the show a lot, Jace. You've spoken about how it's Marvel fatigue, and I think he's actually finally listening to the fans out there.
And honestly, what's really great about this story is they've titled it, it's going to be 3 projects. And no, that's a maximum. That's a maximum, Rick. He's actually come out and said ideally it would be 2 films a year. We're slowly gonna decrease volume and go to probably about 2 series a year, right? And that's fine. Instead of what had become 4, and reduce our film output to maybe 4 a year ago to 2 or a maximum of 3.
Wow.
So that's really interesting. So, and I think that's the balance that you need, Rick. I really think that if you have 2 films and you have 2 shows.
Perfect.
I mean, hell, if it was me, I would have said 1 show a year, but okay, we go with 2 shows. I think that's perfect. But still, it still dances in the line that every single year you've got 4 to 5 amount of Marvel content being thrown at the audience. So it doesn't resolve the fatigue 100%, but it's certainly a good direction to go in.
Do you think they should like cut it back every couple of years, maybe having like maybe just one movie like in a year, and then the following year maybe have the 2 and 2 or something like that?
I think, yeah, I really do. But Marvel are in a corner now, dude, because they have so many properties out there. Some are still awaiting sequels. They got new characters they want to develop to put in the pipeline. So they're in a situation where they kind of go, yeah, but we've kind of got to get this content out here, or for the next 10 years, we're not developing anything new. We're just going to continue working on what we've already got.
Yeah.
So it is a interesting way for them to go. I do think it's better in the case that now Kevin Feige is stuck with making decisions about whether it's the right thing to do to, go with second tier characters, or he's really going to go for the big fish only.
Yeah. Interesting. Look, I think it's a good thing. We have been just inundated with so much Marvel stuff over the last few decades. It just keeps piling on, and I think this is a good direction for Marvel. We don't know how DC is going to go, with their restructure and their changes. So we'll see how that all goes, and in comparison with Marvel. But yeah, I'm looking forward to less content in that realm. So
yeah, look, it's going to be
quality though. Quality content, not just thrown out there and that's it. So
100% agree. 100% agree.
All right, mate. Let's move on to another franchise, mate. Michelle Yeoh has been tapped to star in the Prime Video's Blade Runner 2099 series. This is interesting news.
It is really interesting news, Rick, because I didn't even know they were developing the series.
I think anyone knew. Wow.
Yeah, and Michelle Yeoh is an unbelievable actress. That's actually a shot from her, I think, from Star Trek, I think, where she plays a character called Giorgio and is absolutely wonderful in that series. But you know what? I would have said, Blade Runner series 2099. Okay. But what I liked about this story the most, Rick, was what the show's about. And it gives a little bit of a tidbit of what the show's about. So the original Blade Runner, directed by Ridley Scott, is considered one of the greatest and most influential science fiction movies of all time. And we're excited to introduce Blade Runner 2099 to the Prime Video audience. That's her announcement. We are honored, blah, 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 blah. Yep, okay. Okay, audiences first discovered Ridley Scott's brilliant vision for Blade Runner 40 years ago. Since then, it's become one of the most, we've already said that, 2049. No, this is not the right information. I'm just trying to find out where it is. 2099. Okay, apologies, guys. So basically, I do know what the plot is. The plot is she's going to be playing a replicant that's at the end of her life.
Right.
Coming to the end of her life, which to me got me really excited because if you think about the Blade Runner, it's been the story about replicants, their right to live, and are they human? What does it mean to be alive? And it deals with it in such a profound way. But I'm going, well, there's a lot to explore here, Rick, with dealing with a replicant who's dying, basically. So I hope this kind of ties up that franchise, though. I'll be honest with you. I think they could do something really interesting here. And then it's time to, I think, Blade Runner to go, sit in the archives. So, I just think she's an Academy Award.
Quality actor.
Yeah, And, it's an interesting story. And to know the original team behind Blade Runner, like Ridley Scott and all that are behind this, I think that's pretty cool.
Gives you a bit of confidence on it.
It does give me a little bit of confidence, and just the idea, like I said, the idea with, we've dealt in replicants at different stages in their life. To do this feels like natural for the storyline to kind of deal with this, and fantastic.
There's no talk about doing another movie, though, is there?
No. And I think maybe this was conceived as a movie, this idea, but I also think because of the financial. See, Blade Runner 2049 was a financial disaster.
Mm.
It lost money. It's a great movie. It is a fantastic movie, but it just didn't make any money. So I think they're also going, look, we don't have the confidence this thing's going to break, the box office, so we can put it on streaming. Give it still a half decent budget, and put it on streaming and make deals from there. So, I think it's the right move from a financial perspective to do it as well, is to push it to Amazon Prime.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Well, yeah. It's interesting to see what direction they go with, and if it's worth watching. But like you said, it's on streaming, so what do you got to lose, really? So,
yeah,
nice. All right, let's go into another franchise, Jason. Another big franchise. This is huge news. I know you're probably excited about this one. It says the new Lord of the Rings movie coming. Peter Jackson and Andy Serkis making a Gollum spin-off. Wow. Hey,
who knew that they were going to go back, to Middle Earth?
What is going on?
Well, we've got that animated movie coming called The War of Rohirrim. And that's animated, but it was written by Philippa Boyens, who was one of the writers of the original trilogy. Apparently, it's really good. But they've struck a deal with Warner Brothers, Rick.
Wow.
To go ahead and make some more Lord of the Rings content. Not just one film, but several. All that's being announced now is The Hunt for Gollum, which is set for 2026 release. It's going to be produced by Peter Jackson, but it's going to be acted and directed by Andy Serkis. So, which is pretty amazing. So, it also states here that Jackson, Fran Walsh, his wife, and Philippa Boyens will be involved in every step of the way. And they're looking forward to be able to explore storylines yet to be told. So, you know what's come off the back of this also was the failure of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
Was it a failure? Was it?
I liked it, but it wasn't great. It actually become really good in the last couple of episodes. But the audience reacted as, no, we want Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings.
Right.
That, and The Hunt for Gollum is going to be really interesting, because it says to me, if it's about catching Gollum, it's got to be set before The Lord of the Rings. It's got to be set after The Hobbit, or maybe even before The Hobbit. But either way, I'm really excited. And I know there are millions upon millions of people over the world who were shocked and delighted by this news that we're getting more Lord of the Rings from those creators.
Wow. Is he going to span it out to like 3 movies, or is he going to make one giant friggin' 4-hour movie?
Let's hope not. It made sense for Lord of the Rings. Did make sense for The Hobbit. The Hobbit really could have been one film, maybe two. But see, that a real problem with stretching material out. It just didn't work, the Hobbit trilogy.
I don't think you can stretch this out.
No, I think The Hunt for Gollum should be in and out. It should be a 2-hour film. We'll get an adventure about whatever's going on with Gollum. But I think it's great. I think Warner Brothers have now realized that, well, they're taking their swing at reviving franchises, because it's not only Lord of the Rings now, which they have ownership over. It's also they're doing that giant push with Harry Potter series now. We're going to get new Harry Potter content in the next couple of years. So they're trying to revive these great franchises of the 2000s again and give them more life. So I wish them luck. Just do a good job.
Are we releasing another Power season? Rings of the Power? Are they?
Yeah, there is a season 2 being done. They are going to do it.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe. But the thing is, I think the audience, they can continue to do that, Rick, because it's set like 2,000 years or 3,000 years before the events of Lord of the Rings. Like, it's really kind of like an off-world thing where they can still do their thing, but it won't ever affect what Peter Jackson and Andy Serkis and the rest of the team will be doing. Also means more work down at New Zealand, so that's great. The New Zealand film industry becomes active again. Weather starts kicking back up again.
Yeah.
So that's what's really great too, is because it's a big industry down there in New Zealand when they're making Lord of the Rings films and everything else. So that's also great news.
Bringing in the money for them. Good on you. Yep. That's awesome.
It is. Yes.
Before we get into the train wreck of the week, guys, I just want to remind you to hit and like that subscribe button. Also, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our videos when they are uploaded. And also, guys, you can hear us on audio podcasts on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and where all good podcasts are found. Jace, let's get into the train wreck of the week. Who's on the train this week?
Well, Rick. well. We've been screaming it at it for years now, and finally we get some sort of admission from Marvel. Maybe they didn't make some right choices.
Really?
Let's have a look. The Marvel Cinematic Universe was on top of its game for so long, Rick, and it really was. It was unstoppable in the 2010s. Every time a Marvel movie came out, not only we got excited, we knew we were seeing a good film. But it changed. Louis D'Esposito, the co-president of Marvel Studios, is well aware the franchise has been struggling, particularly in 2023. He told Empire magazine, "It's been a rough time." It's been a rough time. Well, look at what you've put out. Thankfully, the MCU is going to be fine this year with Deadpool and Wolverine.
They're banking on it.
Said, and what's interesting, what his comments were if we just stayed on top, that would have been the worst thing that could have happened to us. Yeah, right. That's what losers say. Look, we took a little hit. You took a massive hit from 2020. You took a massive hit because you went and did Black Widow. You did all these other films. I'm saying cheese, great. But, eventually, phase 4, we got Thor, Love and Thunder. All right. And we got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. So, and those two films should never have turned out like that. And they turned out like that because they were rushing too much through. Anyway, basically, and this is the funniest thing I laughed at. It goes, maybe when you do too much, you dilute yourself a little bit. Really, dude? You just figured one out? Come on, dude. Come on. We know. So, no, we've learned our lesson. Maybe 2-3 films a year and 1 or 2 shows as opposed to doing 4 films and 4 shows like we reported earlier on. Marvel's Kevin Feige also choosing to look on the bright side. Come on, Kev. You made some mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, Kev.
Own up to it.
Yeah. Much more comfortable being the underdog. I prefer able to surprise and exceed expectations.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, whatever, Kev.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, but Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy, he didn't mince words.
Okay.
He did not mean you have to live under a rock not to know that the last few Marvel movies has failed to ignite the world in a way that so many did. We do come along at an interesting time, and we are decidedly something different. That is probably the most realistic excited. But he's calling it out, dude. He's going like, you guys screwed up wildly. You had about 3 or 4 years where you were just putting out horrible after horrible kind of content. So, nah, man, I thought that was hilarious. Yes, Marvel coming out and making those statements and not really addressing it face on is definitely train wreck of the week. And you expect better. Like, you guys were the biggest money-making machines of all time. Like, be humble, have a bit of humility and go, look, yeah, we made some poor choices. Or, some of those choices weren't really the choices I wanted to make. But, either way, they are going to bounce back. Like,
of course they will.
They're going to bounce back, but I just thought it's funny. It's funny how they have to politically be careful. And the reason they speak like that, it's not because they're personally like that. It's because of the shareholders. You can't come out and be honest. Otherwise, the shareholders are going to flip a lid. And then, he's going to answer to them. And, but yeah. But,
and you can't blame everyone about it, so each other. So, yeah.
So you just get on with it. And they are right, though. I mean, what they do have is that jewel in the crown of Deadpool and Wolverine because it is so different, Rick. It is so different to anything else they've done. It brings a lot of freshness to it. And freshness is what are going to get people in. I mean, that's the reality of it. And it's going to be great. But
moving forward after that, that's the key question, I guess. They got a lot of freshness with this movie. How do they do it moving forward?
Well, they'll have it with Secret Wars. That essentially will be a very fresh storyline. But you're right, Rick. Now that they've got limited ability to be able to do all this stuff, to produce all this stuff, they have to make more decisive decisions. So they have to be very strategically careful what they're going to invest 150 to 200 to 250 million dollars on. Do you spend it on Blade? Well, I shouldn't use that example. That's already been produced. But do you go with those type of characters moving forward now? Because it's like, well, if we do a side character that people are mildly interested about, does that really, is that really the direction we want to go? Or do people want to see the big characters and big stories like Fantastic Four and things like that? Yeah, I think you'll see more focus on the big characters again and less the side ones.
Get more bums in seats in those cinemas because that's what it's all about, because they just hemorrhage too much money. So they got to make it back somehow.
Yeah,
interesting.
100%.
There you go. All right, Jace. Well, that about wraps it up for this week. We had some great stories that we were talking about. If you guys want to check myself out and Jace, we are on this channel, so all the links are down below there, guys. So check out all our backlog catalogs of everything we've got there. Jace, where can the guys catch you? You are on a few other channels.
Oh, yeah. You can go find me over in the Captain's Quadrant channel, talking Star Trek every Friday night American time at 9 p.m. US Eastern Standard Time over there. You can also find me on a couple of shows over the Jason Roy Gaston channel. You can find me on TikTok at VHS Jace and on Instagram at VHS Jace.
Fantastic, Jace. All right, well, guys, thank you very much, and we'll see you guys all on the next one. Bye for now.
See you guys. Thanks for watching. If you could do us a massive favor and hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. Also, come and check out us on all our social media accounts and keep up to date. And if you're looking for some clothing, you're needing some merch, we've got you covered at the Pop Culture Spread store.